Welcome to Fear with Christine Spratley. Living like a head in charge, the podcast where Christine says fear, questions everything, and takes bold action. Christine Spratley is a former professional boxer, nanny, and 29-plus year corporate warrior turned founder of HBIC Advisors, where she is a public speaker and coach. She's been saying fear her whole life, many times without even realizing it. So tune in, spread the word, and get ready, because this isn't about aging with grace. It's about aging with mischief, audacity, and having a damn good story to tell.
Hello, ladies. Hello, gentlemen, and everyone. This is Fuck Fear with Christine Spratley, living like an HBIC. And this is going to be a short and sweet one today. But before we start, I think Joe, I got to tell you, and ladies and gentlemen, bear with me, but I got to tell you, Joe, my drive over. And you know me, I'm usually running late, which is something new for me. I'm barreling down in Falls of News. For any of you that don't know Raleigh, there's a road called Falls of News, and I take it to 440, and from North Raleigh down into onto 440, and it's very narrow. Have you ever driven it?
Yeah.
And it's not made for the SUVs of today, or the excursions of today, or the big jacked up pickup trucks of today. And I drive a Hyundai Genesis, which is not a small car. So I'm in the middle lane, and of course I'm late, so I'm barreling down. And I look. I mean, I'm always watching ahead because I'm thinking I'm going to have to maneuver, because I'm not going to slow down. I'm just going to maneuver around. So I noticed that this SUV, mid-size SUV, is on my left. This big jacked up truck is on my right, but he's, moving along just fine. And this SUV on my left is a little slow, and it starts kind of coming in my lane, but it's not coming in my lane. So I don't, so I'm like, hey, what you gonna do? And sure enough, I'm like, about the time I'm like, hey, they're coming in my lane. I don't think they know that I'm in here. And I was pretty much almost into their blind spot. But by the time they started doing it, I was in their blind spot. And I was like, hey, motherfucker. So I lay on the horn. And I'm not mad, because I've had enough time to know that, kind of be on the lookout of this. But this is the fun part. So, of course, they rear back over to the left. And I always do this when I pass somebody who is either driving slow or whatever I've had a mental interaction with. And I don't pass them and look at them to flip them off or anything, because you can't do that nowadays, because you get shot or something. But usually it's like, like this morning I was driving, there was an old guy, like an older guy. And I was like, oh, okay, you get a pass. You're lucky to know what lane you're in. So this lady, so I look over, and it was a lady, and I just had to laugh. And I don't know if you've ever done this, Joe, but I'm sure some of you listeners have, where you fucked up when driving. And then you correct yourself, and that car that you fucked up in front of, and maybe almost cut off, wrecked, or whatever, is going to pass you. And there's no fucking way you're making eye contact with this person at all. This woman's hands were 10 and 2, but not relaxed. They were 10 and 2 straight forward, and she was looking. I mean, it was like, she was not going to make eye contact with me. And I just rolled. I was just like, you go, girl. It's okay. And I wanted to go, it's okay. I'm not mad. I'm not cussing at you today. I'm good. My serenity is good. So that's my little story. So thank you for bearing with me. But it's always fun coming here. It's always an adventure, that 30-minute drive, that 30-minute drive that I make a 20-minute drive. So, ladies and gentlemen, back to the subject at hand. Today is going to be a short one, but it's a good one. I've been wrestling with, as I was telling Joe before, I had this idea, because I want to give you pantry items. And so I'm like, okay, I have this idea of and I call them speed bumps. I think I've mentioned them in the podcast prior to some degree, but what they are, they're little caches. I think in video games, people get caches and you get more weapons, or you get more, along your journey. Sure, yeah. So I tried to put caches and speed bumps in my day, in my daily activities, that give me things, that give me joy, that give me happiness, whatever. And I was thinking about this. I'm like, and I knew I had the speed bumps and the caches, But I couldn't figure out where this was coming from or why this was going, where this genesis was of this idea for me. But it goes along with kind of the HBIC theme of, self-responsibility and self-accountability. And that, so I started remembering and looking back, and when I ran away, I couldn't say goodbye to two of my best friends. Julie and Amy, and amazing friends. And I'm sure they were amazing women when the last time I saw them, which was many, many, many years ago. We don't keep in touch anymore. I see them every once on Facebook or one of those social media. But again, life gets busy and whatever. But I couldn't say goodbye to them. And they were my neighbors. And just so everybody understands, neighbors back in Iowa, when you grow up on a farm, is like they live 2 miles away. But we rode the bus together. The bus dropped them off, and then it drove down a mile and a half and dropped me off at the end of my lane. And so every day we rode together, and they were 1 grade behind and then another grade behind. So they were 1 and 2 years behind me in school. And I just have always, they were such, I don't even know that they know how much they meant to me. I'm kind of thinking about this for the first time in a long time. But they did. And I need to let them know what a big difference they made in my life. And I still think about them with grace today. Just this grace and this love that they gave me. So anyway, this is a poem that I found between the time I was in Mr. Rawlings' office and was talking to my sister about leaving and the time I actually left. I found this poem, and I don't know why. I think it was a Nike ad. I'm not even sure if it was a Nike ad. I don't remember where I found it. But it's called After a While. And I'm going to do 2 things. I'm going to read the poem today because it gives you a genesis, but we're not going to take the whole poem. We're going to just take a section of the poem for which these cachets and these speed bumps come, and where I really feel like the self-accountability and responsibility comes from. And it's interesting, Joe, to kind of look back at my life and go, wow, this was planted way back then. And any time I've had to step up in my life, like quit bitching about the shit that's on my side of the street or who put it there, but clean it up, this is what I've gone to. And so it's called After a While, and it's by Jorge Luis Burgess, and it was revised, I guess, and copyrighted by Veronica Schaafstal. And it's called After a While. So I'm going to read it, but there's a line in here that's really important to me. And it says, after a while, you learn the subtle difference between holding a hand and chaining a soul. And you learn that love doesn't mean leaning and company doesn't mean security. You begin to learn that kisses aren't contracts and presents aren't promises. And you begin to accept your defeats with your head held up and your eyes open, with the grace of a woman, not the grief of a child. And you learn to build all your roads on today, because tomorrow's ground is too uncertain for plans, and futures have a way of falling down in mid-flight. After a while, you learn that even sunshine burns if you get too much. So you plant your own garden and decorate your own soul, instead of waiting for someone to bring you flowers. And you learn that you really can endure, that you really are strong, and that you really do have worth. And you learn and learn. With every goodbye, you learn. And, that takes me back. It takes me back, and it also, to me, is just a really amazing way for me to look at myself as a woman, and as a head bitch in charge. And again, if you like this poem, I can spend some time on it, each section, because each section to me has something as a meaning. So if you like it, let me know and we can do segments on it. But today, where I'm going to go with this and what I want to focus on with this is the line in here that says, so you plant your own garden and decorate your own soul instead of waiting for someone to bring you flowers. Couple things. First of all, it doesn't say, so no one has to bring you flowers. It doesn't say, I don't need someone to bring me flowers. Okay? It just says, instead of waiting. So this idea for me, I'm an HBIC and I am enough and that I do this doesn't mean that others can't give to me. It just means that if I'm wanting water, I take a drink of water. Okay? And in order to do that, I have to plant my own garden and decorate my own soul. And this is also a lot about, we kind of talked about this last time of, the turd. What turds are decorating my soul that somebody else has put in there? And what do I need to decorate my soul with? What do I choose to decorate my soul with? And so we're not going to go down this and explore all this. What I'm going to show you is where it shows up to be today. But it's not going to, so planting my own garden. Today, the flowers that I'm going to talk about are confidence, joy, and humor. Those are things that I really want in my life, okay? And so planting my own garden could mean going to therapy and all that stuff, but I'm not talking about that. I am talking about, I got shit to do today. How the hell am I going to have some joy, some humor, and some confidence as I go about my day? Because I don't always wake up with all the energy I need and all the joy and all the confidence that I need to get through my day. And so when I plant my own garden, that's what I'm going to plant. Those are the flowers, and I'm going to decorate my soul with. So how the hell do you do that? Couple things. You guys know I love music. So I do playlists. And I have the last year or so, I created my Monday morning commute playlist. And it isn't I've got everything from Lebanese relaxing instrumental music to 50 Cent to Queen to, George Strait on my playlist. But this playlist is my throwdown. I'm going to get I'm going to go kind of, and do my thing. And it's like, it's got Lady Marmalade, it's got Bonnie Raitt, it's this energy music. And so I've got that. So I've also got playlists from when I used to go into big meetings. And they were kind of boss up playlists, like don't fuck with me kind of playlists. And I just get that energy and get that, thing and that laughter. And then I've got kind of I've got my morning playlist, which is I wake up to, boo thing, you're my little boo thing. And I don't want to wake up to it all mornings. So some mornings I know that I'm going to need something like Keisha's Woman or, but I do that. I put playlists and they're not just all one-sided. They're very different, but that's what I do. And then I put them into rotations. Within those playlists, each of them, I have Teddy Swims Amazing in there. Now I do that because I do this amazing challenge, which is when I hear that song come on, for the entirety of that song, as much as I can, I look in the mirror and I say those words to myself instead, because I was like, oh, I wish somebody felt this way about me, blah, 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 blah. This is how my husband thinks about me. And I was like, wait a minute, I need to think that way about me. I need to see that about me. And depending on how I feel about myself, sometimes looking in the mirror through that whole song is really fucking hard. Some days I shine and I smile and I'm glorious. And then other days I'm like grabbing the sink so I don't look away and I'm crying because I feel so not amazing. But it's mixed in. It's mixed into that cachet of a playlist. So even within my playlist, I have cachets of you're good, you're good enough, you got this, girl. The other is humor. Lord forbid you get caught with me in an elevator. I'm not going to chat you up like the Progressive commercial, but I'm just kind of like the Progressive commercial light, where I'm going to make some, if you're wearing a baseball cap and it's, the Yankees, I'm going to make some snarky ass comment. The other day somebody had a Boston Red Sox hat on, and I, made some comment, and he's like, well, what's your team? And I was like, the Pirates. And he was like, well, and he had the best comeback. He's like, well, all you guys just do is farm raise great pitchers and then send them away for nothing. And I was like, well, yeah, that's right. We kind of do, but we've got a great stadium, with no blind spots. And so again, I do that because that interaction gives me energy, but it also makes somebody smile. I notice glasses on women or guys that I go, do you get a haircut? Even if they don't have a haircut, typically they smile, and they're like, no. And I'm like, well, you look good, and, or their glasses or something. The women that at another thing, humor and interaction, because this humanness, this community, and this is what I think is kind of missing, is just, I don't want to sit down. I want to have a connection with you just because it's good and it's fun. I don't want to have a connection with everybody. If you're an asshole, I don't want to have a connection with you. But the women at where I get my allergy shots, there's 3 women up the front, 1 gentleman, and then 2 of the nurses in the back usually. And I used to bring in my coffee mugs, and if you know me in my mug shot, I have some pretty ornery coffee mugs. And some of them are kind of silly, and some of them are a little bit profane, and some of, so they're always interested, but we have this interaction. And what it's done, and this is where it can go. So I come in one day and we're just doing our thing, and I tell them what's, hey, I'm running late, but I got a 15-minute grace period there. So I usually call, but I'm running late, and I go in and they check me in and we're laughing or whatever. Show me your mug. What's going on? And how you doing? And the other day I come in and she's like, you're always in such a great mood. And Joe, it was the day, I think it was Monday, where I said, let me show you the coffee mug I have. And for any of you that aren't on my coffee mug crew, my mugshot crew, my coffee mug for Monday, or the day that in question, was a dog butt scooting across the carpet. And it basically said, my ass is dragging this morning. And so it was funny to me that she thought I was in such a good mood. And I was like, look at where I've been. And she just started laughing, but it made the connection. And then we got talking. But again, this is someone who, I don't know him from Adam. I don't know what's going on in their life. I don't need to know to have that connection. We don't need to have some real huge bond. But I guarantee you, those women, what they give off to me is just grace and joy, and that gives them back. I want to give them back. It's just funny. We share little things. The woman who when I did my allergy shots, she, did my allergy shots, and I'm allergic to everything, so I almost passed out. And on her arm it said, on her arm it said, I am enough. And I had just gotten my tattoo of I am enough. So I look for connections. I look for ways. So again, what are your speed bumps? I'm kind of almost, I don't know why I'm not embarrassed, but I do silly things. Like I write little notes, thank you for your service. And I put it on, like little stick-it fucking things on people's windshield when I know that when I see their sticker, or I'm in the grocery store and they're in their thing. And because I'm a shit, I always write I've stopped doing this, but during the whole election cycle and all that shit, I wrote from a Democrat. Thank you for your service from a Democrat. Because I just wanted everybody to know that, we do appreciate the military. We, as in I do, and I happen to be, a Democrat. So, but again, it's looking for the ways of having that connection that give me energy. Another example is where I used to live, there's a lady, there's a manager at Harris Teeter, at Creedmoor and Millbrook in Raleigh, North Carolina. Her name is Judith. And I believe she's a manager. She's in charge, whatever the in charge person is. And she's this is how I got my first interaction with Judith. I mean, you can see, because they're the ones kind of supervising and basically unscrewing up everybody's screw ups. And so I'm in there, and I've gone to the store like for the 5th time to bake something, because I'm going to bake something for some big thing. And I needed eggs, and I'm whipping through. And if anybody doesn't know me, I'm sort of a bull in a china shop. Not sort of, I am a bull in a china shop. And so I'm flipping through 100 things, phones ring, doing all these things. And I go to scan the eggs, and the scan is on the top. So I flip it over, which you can't do that and expect eggs to stay in their carton. So in the midst of I don't know if it was Thanksgiving. I don't know what it was. It was a holiday is all I remember. I have now taken, 24 eggs or 18 eggs, and they're all over the fucking floor at Harris Teeter.
Oh, man.
And I'm like, and she comes over there, and of course she is in lockdown mode, going to clean this up and get this you're jamming up the line. She is just gracious and wonderful. And I said something, of course I used a cuss word, and she's like, oh, honey, it's okay. We don't need to cuss. And I just laughed at her because I was like, oh, I'd be cussing. If I were you, I'd be cussing at me. But again, what happened was I made that connection. So every time I go in there, or I used to go in there, was, hey, how the eggs doing today? And just that connection, which made her smile. And anybody dropped any eggs today? And she may come back with, no, but you haven't finished shopping yet, or just this back and forth. And so these little things that give you joy, and that make you laugh, that you don't expect. So plant those things. I do it with music. I do it with comedy. My social media is full of things that make me crack up. And I do that instead of spending hours and hours scrolling. And I literally go, okay, you're going to take 10 minutes of this and 30 minutes of comedy, I send out notes to people when I think of them. That's another thing, because there's nothing that I love better than getting somebody to say, hey, you're awesome, just thinking of you. Or I saw this and that made me think of you. And by the way, this is what you've meant to me. And what happens typically is when I do that, maybe not immediately, but weeks or months go by, and all of a sudden I get a note from that person. And so it's like you're putting out this stuff into the world. And I know it's law of attraction and everything, but I'm planting my own garden. I'm planting the seeds of laughter and joy and confidence.
All right, legends. Your morning coffee is sacred. It fuels your badassery. But your mug should do more than hold caffeine. It should hold attitude. Enter the Mugshot Crew. Most days you'll get a text with a fresh mugshot, a quote, a punchline, or a truth bomb that'll either make you snort your latte or remind you that you're a walking powerhouse. Some days, Christine's lucky to find a clean bra, so if you miss one, don't panic. Think of it as a daily pantry essential, a shot of sass with your caffeine. Some days it's inspiration. Fuck fear, sit boldly. Other days it's a brutal truth. Decaf is a crime, and I will press charges. And sometimes it's just a vibe. Living like an HBIC. Look in the mirror. One text, one mugshot, most every day. Because your coffee should hit as hard as your ambitions. Sign up now at ChristineSpratly.com and add some spice to your pantry. One mugshot at a time. The Mugshot Crew. Sipping loud, living proud.
I never used to wear a lot of makeup. I used to wear a lot of makeup, and now I don't. But I wear lipstick. It makes me feel good. So for me, it's a feeling. When I feel a certain way, then I walk a little bit taller, even when I feel shitty. What is it? Looking pretty, feeling shitty, But eventually I start feeling how I look. And so one of my things, and ladies, try this. Go get you some badass underwear. And I don't like panties, so I use bras. So I go to Perky Lady once a year. I try to. And I go in and I buy really nice bras. And they're things and they have this thing where if you've never been to a shop where they know their shit, like it's not a normal shop where you go in and you browse. You go in and you set up an appointment and you go in and they look at you and they talk to you for a little bit and they take you to the dressing room and they talk to you and they go, we're going to bring you some stuff. And you're like, yeah, right. And I'll never forget, she brought this little blue thing. It had some flowers and, I'm not real girly, or didn't think I was. It wasn't the story I told myself. But I put it on. I was like, whoa, I like this. I like the way they sit. I like everything about this. And so when I've got something, if I'm speaking, my bras look really good. I may screw up on stage, but I got shit in here that's giving me confidence. There's just something about it. I used to do networking. Networking made me so fucking nervous, hated it. I've got hacks for that now too, but I would literally go in and this is proven, go in and sit in the bathroom stall, put my feet square on the ground, spread my legs and be like, all right, I got this. You know, and I'd give myself a little pep talk, or I'd walk into the mirror and I'd stand like, you know, the Superwoman pose. There's actually something that happens to you. When I'm in a meeting, I plant my feet squarely and I lean in and and I'm there and it gives me this energy. And it's always something, I don't know. I want to do that because it makes me calmer or more calm and allows me to breathe. And then I've got the brains to get through it. It's funny because sometimes it's about, do I understand the situation and everything? But other times it's just the energy around it to get through it. And so I do things like that give me energy. I'm a Post-it note, sticker note on my mirrors and stuff. You're amazing is on this. No, I didn't put it there. It's on the mirror in my house that I rent. It's like, you're amazing. It's on my mirror, along with, you know, different things from people that people have given to me. I've got, you're the hero of your own story on my mirror. So I look at that every day. Again, these are things, these are little notes, these are little, you know, like when you bowl and you're bowling down, you have to put the bumper lanes out. You know, they keep me going. You know, I may bong off this, or I may bong off the right side and run over to the left side. I've talked about the ditches, and then you find the middle of the rain. But these things help me go there. And that's how I plant my own flowers or my own garden, and then I decorate my soul with it. And where the decoration comes in is what I end up getting back. That is just amazing. I'll tell you about Genesee and Nevaeh and Joelle. I don't think I've ever talked about them. They're friends of mine. Genesee is a woman, and Joelle and Nevaeh are her children, and I've gotten to know them over the past year. And she gives me stickers, and I put that sticker. It was a grape sticker, and it smelled, and I put it on my mirror, my rear mirror. And so every time I look in the mirror, on the lower right-hand corner, there was that grape sticker, and it fell off. And it fell off about 2 months ago. And I called her, and I said, I need your grape sticker. And so I've seen her since then. She's now this, you know, I need a sticker. And this is what I'm talking about. So I need a sticker, you know, because I look at that sticker in Nevaeh and it makes me happy. It makes me smile, because it does. Again, that's the garden that I planted. I planted that there. And then today, Genesee left me a voicemail that said, hey, listen, or I want to let you know that Nevaeh said this morning that we need to go find Christine some stickers so she can be happy. And we need to do it right away. That is decorating my soul like I could never understand. Like I never knew that was going to come and hit me so hard and so graciously. And it's all because we had this interaction and I put a sticker up. You know, so that's kind of the powers of stickers.
Are you familiar with the broadcast is a farming term? Like, that's where it came from. So it reminds me of what you're talking about. You've got all these techniques and tactics and so broadcast comes from a farmer would just grab a handful of seed and they
broadcast it out.
Broadly cast it. And then it got turned into, like, you know, a TV term. But it came from farming.
Because of the news and the way you throw the communication of throwing it out there. Yes. Right. But it's sowing of the field is where it comes from.
But you've got this is your technique. You got a handful of like, here's a bunch of stuff that makes me happy, and I'm gonna throw it out there, and it's some of it's gonna stick, and some of it might not, and some of it might take 6 months to grow up. But
yeah, and the thing is, and I'll tell you another example. Who was I talking with? I was talking with somebody, and we were talking about giving for giving's sake, and I was going through a situation, mid-career, I guess you'd call it. And I had left my company and I had settled with them. And when I left, I was like broke as shit. Like I will not eat ragu spaghetti sauce ever again in my life because that's all I could afford. It was $1.25. And I ate that and pasta, the cheap kind. And I just am sick of it. Like I never need to eat this shit again. It's really good. Not knocking ragu. I'm just saying I'm not going to eat it. And I didn't have money for a long time. And then we settled and I got some money. And so I got to go to Starbucks. And there was this guy on the corner. And I'm passing Starbucks. I was in Austin, Texas. I was passing to turn around to go into Starbucks. So I had to pass him. And I went in and I didn't have any change really that I wanted to give him. So let's be honest. I didn't want to give him a 20. So I went into Starbucks and I broke it. And I got him a hot chocolate. And I'm feeling pretty good about myself. So I make the U-turn to come back and I go down, I give it to him. And as I'm turning around, I see him take it and flick it. It was like I had pissed in his Wheaties. I mean, he was pissed.
It's like, I'm lactose intolerant.
Exactly. and I'm like, well, and I was like, no, you're giving for giving's sake, Christine. This is like, no, like, I don't know what but you did it. And so it's like you put this shit out there and it has not, like you say, I've cast it out there. And sometimes it's an immediate hit. And sometimes people just look at me. Like they just look at me like I've got 3 heads, which is okay. I was talking with someone the other day and I said, yeah, just give them a compliment. Just compliment. And they're like, what if they don't take it? I'm like, well, then that's just because they don't receive it doesn't mean you can't give it. You know, just give it. Just put it out there. Shit. If you think of something's nice on somebody, if you think they're doing something nice, like, why the hell not? I mean, this is also, too, just a little side note, and then I'll go back to this, but I bitch about the negativity and how much I don't connect and how this and how that and how this, but I'm not tilling my own ground. What am I focusing on? Why am I not being nice to someone and making them smile? Why am I not connecting? What, am I just supposed to connect to the people right here? Well, fuck, they're not here all the time, so let me connect with the people right in front of me. You know, let's put, you know, if you've ever waited tables and you no longer wait tables, next time you go in, and you see what's going on behind the line or the cashier, make her smile. You know what that's like. That is where I decorate. That is how I plant my own garden. Because some days I can do these big, huge, amazing things and have a spa day and my decoration is wonderful and my soul is at ease and I can go meditate on top of a mountain. But 9 times out of the 10, I am driving down Falls of Neuse 10 minutes late. And I need to see a little sticker from a 5-year-old girl who thinks I rock the world. And that's enough joy to get me through. So my challenge or my homework or whatever the hell you want to call it is, how can you plant your own garden, ladies? What would be in your garden? And don't make it something big. Make it something that tickles your heart. Make it something that counts in the moment. You know, what's your walk-up music? I used to start out meetings with Pfizer on what's your walk-up music? And I'll never forget the first time we did it. We had corporate out of, they're in New York now. I think they were in New Jersey at the time. We had the people we had people from the facility, and then we had government affairs. And then we had my team who was like, what is she up to? You know? And I'm like, all right, everybody, what's your walk-up music? And they're like, what? And I had to explain walk-up music. And walk-up music is, you know, what would you walk up to the plate and hit, you know, out of the park to jack you up and get you pumped up. And it was everything from gospel music to Kenny Rogers, You Got to Know When to Hold 'Em, which was funny because it was the director of finance who brought up that one. And then we've got other hip-hop stuff. We've got everything. But again, that all stemmed from, I was coming in that morning with my playlist. And so I was like, what is my walk-up music? What is your walk-up music, ladies? What would decorate your soul? Go plant it. Go plant it. You know, and so think about that, and think about, and if you're having a hard time with, oh, I don't know, what if something blossomed in your soul? What if something nice was added to your soul and you didn't have to wait for it? You could just plant it yourself. You could just make somebody laugh and then laugh at their smile. You know, you could just do something little, because sometimes that's all I can get out of my day is something little. And that's enough. So, ladies, gentlemen, everyone, plant your own garden and decorate your own soul instead of waiting for someone to bring you flowers. And if they do bring you flowers, then add them to your soul. Don't just wait, because your soul is so precious that it deserves to be decorated. Until next time, Tubbs.
Welcome to Fear with Christine Spratly. Living like a head in charge, the podcast where Christine says fear, questions everything, and takes bold action. Christine Spratly is a former professional boxer, nanny, and 29-plus year corporate warrior turned founder of HBIC Advisors, where she is a public speaker and coach. She's been saying fear her whole life, many times without even realizing it. So tune in, spread the word, and get ready, because this isn't about aging with grace. It's about aging with mischief, audacity, and having a damn good story to tell.